Welcome to Continue Mission, December 29th, 2023. Continue Mission is an international radio show produced by veterans for veterans. It airs every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern on Brain Injury Radio. Tonight is a rapid deployment broadcast right here on X. This show is courtesy of the Roughneck Regiment 2024 and the Red, White, and Blue. I'm Miss Val, your military radio gal. Please follow me on X, at Home Media Mom. Enjoy the show, and God bless America.
Evening. This is a Continue Mission radio show. This evening, we are interrupting your regular scheduled program for Continue Mission radio show. I am just letting our guests inside. Greg, can you hear me okay?
I hear you beautifully. Your mic sounds great tonight, Val. Let's put off the fireworks here, okay? That's great. It looks like we got the
I
captain
cannot
on.
hear you. So, as I troubleshoot, we are broadcasting. I do not have audio. So, go ahead, Greg and James. You both have access to speak.
Wow.
Are you kidding me, Val? You don't have audio? Wow. Good evening, Captain James
Can you hear me
McCormick.
okay, Greg?
Dude, I can hear you, man. It's just you and me in the foxhole right here, James.
Let me tell you something. Something really crazy is going on. I hate it that Val can't hear us, but I'm so glad she was able to pull this out. Now I've got to get the link over to Matt Cody. And then I've got to share it on on my Facebook page, which is it's just insane. I can't understand it. I really can't.
Wow. All Matt has to do is follow Val and click on listen, and he'll be on.
Let me see here.
Wow.
Let me grab
Okay,
him.
I have audio. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you, Val. Welcome to your own dining room table here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me see here. So I'm trying to see how I can go in and copy this and take it and put it on my Facebook page to let people know where to go.
Okay, I'm sending it to you right now, James, in your private message on X. You will find it there. I will also Facebook message it to you, and I'm sending it to Matt right now.
Cool. Great. Yeah. It's just insane. It's just, it is just crazy what's going on.
Hey, James, take a quick minute and kind of catch us up here. Really on
Okay.
this show, not only your logistics issues, but take 3-4 minutes here, catch us up. This is what I'd call an emergency ad hoc show on good old
It
Val
is.
Olson Radio, and this is how we roll. Here we go. You're not going to keep us off the mic.
Yeah.
And I told Val, if it's just me blabbering to myself tonight, we'll do it. We're just going to keep the mic open. So take a few minutes, catch us up. Folks on this platform, as I say, might or might not know the Continue Mission brand, but really give us an inside scoop here and catch us up on what's going on tonight. This is great, and welcome to the platform, sir. We're always here.
Hey, thanks for. Well, this is what collaboration. This is what friendship. This is what pulling together a regiment, a roughneck regiment does. You know what I mean? We can pull it out. Something's been going on with the Blog Talk Radio station for about 3 weeks now, and I think that now everybody says Chinese, but there really is a Chinese interest here in Blog Talk Radio, and I mean that that's where they believe that the hack is coming from, is from someone in China. So obviously, it's not just our radio show; it's about everybody's radio show. and it depends on where you're at. And it seems like anything that is conservative, I'm sure you can get on there and hear AOC and and the liberal leftist, puke out all their stuff tonight. But if you're going to talk about God, country, and the American way, then you're probably going to get shut down. So I hate feeling that way, but I've watched it and I've seen it happen. We seen it happen when we started talking about the Alberta situation and how we had listeners in Canada that could not hear our radio show, totally shut out because, they're afraid for the people to be able to hear the truth that, that most Americans would warmly welcome them as the 51st state of the United States of America. And so we're running into all of those nonsensical things that happen. So I'm going to try to get Matt CODAY on here as well, because, he has some things that are going on as well. And, just like with Donald Trump, President Trump's been attacked. They're trying to keep him off of different election platforms. Maine, I mean, what a ridiculous thing that just happened in Maine. What you're watching is you're watching the systematic destruction of your country and your freedoms that's been made available because we, the people, have gotten lazy and we've allowed these rogues and these money grubbing leeches to come in and take over. And I'm telling you, it's on massive decline right now. We had a radio show this morning with Tom Roten. Tom Roten is a very conservative Christian, good friend of mine as well. Been doing the radio circuit for years. He spoke out against some establishment, pukes in the state of West Virginia. And the next thing you know, they're like, well, we can't have you on the radio show. So a job that he's had for over 20 years or almost 20 years, he loses his job and he's forced to go in and be an independent, radio broadcaster, which he's doing it now. He goes and he does that. He has one group that decided to support him. And then, however, until he spoke out against two rhinos in our state that have essentially sold out the state and have, supported this multi-million-dollar, slush fund for a renewable energy company ran by Jeff Bezos, who obviously doesn't need our money. The things that are happening in America right now and, trying to shut down conservative networks is just unbelievably strong. And we've got to push back against that, folks. We got to push back against that. So I'm here tonight. Obviously we're not going to do a 2-hour show tonight, but we're definitely going to get the message out if I can, because I swear it's like, every chance that the devil's been able to stick his nose into something, he's managed to do it here. And it's just insane to me that we're at this point in America that, you can't even go into your own house and have a level of peace and security without something happening to your cell phone, something happening to your studio. I've invested a lot of money in my computers and in my systems, and to have them shut down like that, it's unfathomable, for me. So I'm sending this over to Matt CODAY right now. Matt, we had to move.
It looks like Matt is set up, James, and is a speaker right now.
I am. It's just that I much prefer Greg Meakin's voice.
Oh my goodness!
Hey, Matt, you know
wow.
what they call me over in London, England, Matt? Seriously, Mr. Midnight.
Trader. Oh,
Here we go. Here we go. Like with James, the show's not even a minute old, and we just get into fights already. I love it, man. Oh, it's so great to hear you.
absolutely
It's
not.
really so great.
Oh, and great to hear from you and from Val and my friend
Oh,
James. Let me tell you what, Continue Mission Radio being hacked doesn't surprise me at all. I remember the first time I tagged the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, and a few other agencies on a Facebook post and asked why they hadn't solved the murder of the former DHS whistleblower who said that Obama and Biden had ordered House files to be scrubbed of Americans' ties to Islamic terrorists. All of a sudden, my laptop went blank, and all my phones did something weird. And I thought, well, I've got somebody's attention now.
It happens. It happens. I'm telling you, we've been hammered, man. We have been hammered for the last 3 weeks. It's been back and forth, and we were able to cobble it together last week for when you came on the show. But since then, it has been just like unbelievable. And then just the hate mail.
but you know
I
what,
mean,
James?
it's
You know
unbelievable.
what? We've talked about this a lot on past episodes, not only Continue Mission, but of course Secrets from the Inside. And you know what? They're not going to shut us up. And we're proof right now. I'm sitting here watching 4 icons on Val Olson Radio on X. I see Val Olson, Greg Meakin, James McCormick, and good old Matt CODAY. And
Yeah.
so they didn't shut us down tonight. And guess what, James? Guess what? Ain't going to shut us down because this is going to be a beautiful YouTube clip, James. Here we go. Right? Right?
That's the thing, Greg. And you and I have talked maybe about a difference in candidate endorsements or something. And we come back together as
Oh, hell
Americans,
yeah.
and we line up to support our
Yep.
country. The people who are intent on destroying our republic would love for all of us to just give up, to be quiet. If you've ever read anything about me or Oil and Gas Workers Association, I mean, there are a few hit pieces out there where two former board members and a former advisory
Mhm.
board member are quoted, and we're obviously able to prove all of those are
Mhm.
lies, just by posting the full text of their resignation email. And it's unfortunate politics. Whenever you talk about some of the three-letter agencies and how they've been weaponized against American workers and families, in Odessa, Texas, Tisha Halcrow, who is the current Ector County Republican Party chair and a Texas GOP SREC committee woman. Well, she and some of her little squad got caught in last year's election backing an ex CIA agent named Casey Gray, who was on video claiming that Capitol Police did not let protesters into the building and that it was literally an invasion. So, since I was the one in possession of that information in the video, we're pretty certain that that was one of the things they didn't want to get out. And so the way to get people to shut up is just try to smear them and just continuously assault them. But people like James McCormick and you, Greg Meakin, and you, Val Olson, and me, you know, we're just not going to quit. We're not going to shut up.
Mhm. Well,
Touche. And what you're mentioning earlier here, Matt, and salutes to you, okay? You've been doing a great job with your organization. You have been doing more public relations than Ronald Reagan, man. Great. I mean,
Man, that's a great man to
but
aspire to be.
great job. On speaking of Reagan, okay, you touched on it earlier, and I want to mention this to the folks in Alberta too. I don't like preaching to the choir. Okay, Ronald Reagan, the 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not speak poorly of a fellow Republican." We're all on the same team. And I just want hats off to you, man. You've been working real hard, and you've been doing great media. Great media. I know, I recognize it, and for no matter what, we're going to be talking and working together a lot this year. I don't know about you. I'm pumped about 2024, and even seeing this kind of bullshit that we're seeing with being hacked and stuff. I've had it on my side too. They're not going to stop us, okay? They're not. So here we go.
You're right, Greg.
I'll put my little mic on mute here before I get too riled up and want to get on a hockey rink and start a fight.
No, I enjoy it. 2024 is going to be a great year for America, across the country and in every state. We have candidates who really will put American workers and families first, and they're not backing down from the insidious attacks either. From California to West Virginia. I mean, look at the attacks on Lieutenant Colonel Mac Warner, retired, of course. Look at the attacks on him since he stood up and said the truth of what we're all thinking. The 2020 election was stolen, and we have seen proof of that. 32,000 ballots here, 40,000 there, 14,000 here. And of course, bias and dishonest media keeps moving the goalpost. There's no evidence of fraud. There's no large evidence of fraud. Well, there's fraud, but there's not enough to. Okay, well, nah, it's just baseless claims. And this is the same biased and dishonest media that runs this climate crisis propaganda to scare Americans into believing that we need to end all oil and gas drilling yesterday.
Yeah, true. Very true statement, my friend. And I'll tell you, the sad part of that is that, there is a psychological warfare piece of this. And Mike Warner put out a very good story about that on Lou Dobbs. And he also talked about that last week. And what you're seeing today, it's like, so Matt and the Oil and Gas Workers Association comes out, boom, and they support Donald Trump. Donald Trump shout out, to to the Oil and Gas Workers Association. Donald Trump Jr. shouts out. Well, then all of a sudden, the hounds of hell come down on OGWA, and it's like, we've got to find some kind of dirt on these people. And that's what this political, swampy group of un-American, atheistic people are doing to try to destroy anything good and righteous. And I think that what you see going on with oil and gas workers, what you see going on with coal miners, what you see going on with veterans, what you see going on with people that just want to have freedom, patriots, it's massive right now. And people are, I'm going to just say this, they're mad as hell, and they're not going to take it anymore. And I'm just going to tell you, it's just, we're all going to vote. We're going to do it peacefully. We're going to do it righteously. But people are coming together, and we're coming together behind President Donald J. Trump, baby. And I'm telling you, that's going to be our next president. Get used to it. Deal with it. There it is.
Like it, James. You're right. A lot of people don't understand that the movement that's going on. Whenever I started Oil and Gas Workers Association in 2015, I'm just one oilfield truck driver who said, hey, you know what? I'm sick and tired of watching our federal government sell out our families and our jobs and our country to foreign countries with far less environmentally conscious standards, propped up with our tax dollars. I'm a truck driver. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, your average truck driver must be dumb. Let me tell you what, you put 4 truck drivers on the road for 12 hours a day, we'll have all the world's problems solved by the end of the day. And it's people like me. It's people like every man and woman who's working on location right now, or offshore, who have been forgotten by the elected representatives who claimed to be looking out for our families.
That's an interesting segue into look what the truck drivers did in Canada, right, Val? Huh? Val and Greg, you remember?
That's true. Yes, I sure do. We watched Canadians stand up loud and proud, and it was so refreshing and uniting around a common cause, freedom. That's what it's all about. So I want to welcome everybody this evening. We've got a truck driver joining the show live tonight as well. It's the Continue Mission radio show. Thrilled to be platforming it here on my channel at Home Media Mom. Tonight on Continue Mission, border security, American energy production, and fake conservatives. People are selling out our nation and state for money and for votes. James, back to you.
Hey, listen, let's just go right on into border security, because there ain't a soul here that can't talk about that. The border right now is the worst that it's ever been. And I'm telling you right now, I have been to third world countries. I have seen, the effects of not having a border. I have seen massive groups. This is an invasion. This isn't just some people trying to escape poverty. Nobody in America would begrudge somebody for trying to find their way to freedom. We all had to come here, but there's a process for it. And what we're seeing now, especially along the southern border, and the absolute ignorance of this administration, who is now threatening to sue the state of Texas if they arrest these invaders. We shouldn't be arresting them. I'm going to just tell you, people are not going to like what I'm getting ready to say. But we need to have troops down on that border, and we need to be pushing them back across at the end of a bayonet and saying, you get in line if you want to come to America. There's a process to get here. Right now, we've got 8 million people that have come through this border since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have taken over. Who the heck's in our country? Do you know how many people how much damage that 8 million, 1 million? Look how much damage that the few did on 9/11. We've got 1,000 times that right now. So I'm very concerned about the border. So I want to open up the conversation about the border. I'd like to get everybody's input on that, and any of our listeners that are out there. It's a tragedy. Nobody is saying hurt children and women. Nobody's saying that. We don't do that in America. But what we're saying is we got to have law and order here, and we cannot allow any more of these fighting age men that are coming in from Syria, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Africa, everywhere. Okay, they're coming in here. They're not coming in here legally, so they're not going to, they're not going to be accustomed to our culture. As a matter of fact, they're coming in here to change our culture. They're coming in here for a purpose. And it really concerns me that the president of the United States would tie the hands of a governor of the state of Texas and say, we're going to sue you if you start arresting those people and kicking them back across the border where they belong. I would go on and go to court. I would go on and take that lawsuit. But we'll see. We'll see. What's your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think, Matt? What do you think about this? You're in Texas.
Well, you know what I think, James? Border security is national security. If we don't have a country with borders, we don't have a country. And a lot of people, especially outside of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, don't understand how bad the border crisis is, and certainly the leftist media never portrays it accurately. I spoke with a sheriff, Sheriff Helton from Lee County, New Mexico. Last year, he had just returned from a 2-week station at the border, and he said it's worse than you could possibly even imagine. I have friends who have worked along the border for the last couple of years, all the way from Texas to Arizona, and then done some tracking up into Washington State. In fact, we have several sheriffs along the border that I'm familiar with, and our other law enforcement officers throughout the state who will just repeatedly tell you can't even imagine how bad the border crisis is. Earlier this year, in fact, just a couple of months ago, Bethany Blankley in the Center Square, I believe it was October 27th, was her article, talked about 10 million illegal border crossings since Joe Biden got in the White House. 10 million. That is a lot of people who have illegally entered our country. And of course, as AI displaces millions of workers, as we see minimum wage hikes in California, where employers are already eliminating jobs so they can keep up with that, and then reducing the hours and thus the benefits for people who still have jobs. It is a perfect storm brewing against American workers and families. And then, of course, whenever we talk about supply and demand of housing, or whenever we talk about supply and demand of fuel, don't get me wrong, we love to have a big demand for American oil and gas. The problem is our truck drivers, and especially owner operators, are paying for that at the pump. And so people who don't understand why the price of freight, why the price of shipping is going up, why everything is skyrocketing, they don't understand, especially if they're Biden supporters, that these are the effects of the policies they support.
Matt, I'm happy you brought up the number 10 million. It's almost almost what I'm talking. Yeah, 10 million. You took that out of my brain, because before this is over, this term's over, it's gonna be 10 million plus because we got to include getaways too. There's a ton of getaways out there that are beating the Border Patrol at their game. But I'll tell you what, living in Arizona, and of course, chatting with so many contacts I have down here, this is a grease fire down here. Okay, James, you mentioned the Syrians. There are 530. What was the number? 538 Syrians, and I mean the old 20 to 35 fighting male age, right? And like in 48 hours, crossing down here. What's that all about? But I believe this is my opinion, that this isn't a conscious attempt to overwhelm our welfare systems and our safety net systems. But I'll do a whole show on that at one point, because there's no doubt whatsoever, whoever the quote new age movement is, or are manipulating the marionette in the White House, whoever's making these decisions, this is virtual treason, 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 being a traitor against the United States. My understanding of treason is it is a conscious effort to do harm, really, or put into danger American citizens. And that's what's happening every day. If I sound passionate about this issue, is because we're just going crazy watching this every day. Imagine James and Matt and watching our president of the United States look the other way. My Democrat friends, these guys sometimes have multi-college degrees. They think everything's fine, guys. They think everything's fine. They have no clue what's going on. So there's my mini rant of the day. It's a grease fire. We will only be able to fix it, put a dent in it, with a new administration. And so I am saying, I've been saying this on the air for a couple of years now. November 8th, 2024 is existential fork in the road for us guys. But I know we are all of the same mind on this. So I'll kick it back to you, James, or Val, on that.
I'd like to hear Val's stance on this grease fire. It is a grease fire, but yes.
This is domestic terrorism. And how much closer are they going to get to our front doors? That is the question that moms alike have when we go to the grocery store. There's rumors of them being caught in our community, around our community.
Mhm.
And this is full blown stranger danger.
Mhm.
It's affecting our community at a very local level. And what are they going to tell us next? Take your front doors off your house? Because that's what's happened, right? They're treating the border like an open door. And so now it's trickling into our residential areas. And it's not just the attacks and threats of violence that these losers and thugs and lowlifes and culture shifters are looking at doing. I've watched videos. I mean, some of these guys are perverts. I mean, absolute disgusting perverts. The things that they have done that I've witnessed in playgrounds. I mean, this is serious stuff. So this is a threat to the whole family. This is domestic terrorism, and that's what we need to call it. No sugarcoating.
Yeah,
it.
hey, look, let me tell you, I just tagged my good friend, United States Navy SEAL Craig Sawman Sawyer, who runs the, an organization that protects children against child trafficking, and he'll tell you the same thing. It is demonic. It is pathetic, and you're exactly right. And as a mother with children, we're men, and there's a lot of men in here, and we have the discussion about men, and our role is to be protectors, to be defenders, to be able to protect our families, our children, but not just our children, but my neighbor's children. And because we do have a responsibility to protect them. And when they open these borders and they allow these freaks to come in here, they're bringing in fentanyl, they're bringing in sex slaves, they're kidnapping children and taking them to the perverts. Hey, look, there's a market in America. It's not just overseas. And I'm going to tell you, there's some perverts here in this country, you know what I mean, that are sick, demented, twisted, child molestating, just nasty people. But when you have the cartels that have free reign now, back and forth across the border, I mean, they're being openly caught carrying AK-47s and planting roadside bombs now, IEDs, up and down the border of the United States. And Joe Biden's like, it's the best economy we've ever had. Everything's so great. The guy needs to be impeached and probably in prison, folks. I'm just telling you right now. It's a disaster what's going on right now. I know some people may not like to hear that, but that's just the truth about it. You know, here's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Donald Trump, General Flynn, president, vice president, we'll clean this mess up in less than a year. That's my hope. That's my hope for a ticket. You know, hey, President Trump, God bless you, sir. You pick who you want, but I'd sure love to see General Flynn as your VP. So back to you, Matt Cody. Or did we lose everybody? We didn't lose everybody, did we?
No, it looks like Matt is doing the old Greg Meakin, leaving it on mute, maybe. Every show, right? You know, James, it's so funny. If you ever go around a lecture or a seminar, anytime, there's always the one guy whose cell phone goes off, right? Right?
That's usually me. Yeah.
You're actually you're bringing up such a key point on the border. I'm just gonna take a quick second here before I forget. James, I don't know if you heard it on the air, but I kind of did one of my old predictions with Val Olson on the air. The next sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona, his name's Matthew Thomas. He's a current deputy sheriff, works hand in hand with Mark Lamb.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
he
Good
just
man.
I just finished a book. Deputy Sheriff Thomas has a new book out called Interceptors. This guy was he's a true badass, like kind of special ops guy, fighting the border, border security and chasing these cartels. And fascinating book. I'm going to do a book review on it. But bottom line, when you hear the stuff from the insider, what's going on, and these cartels, it breaks my heart. But it breaks my heart that also that law enforcement's being handcuffed. Pardon the pun. But the cartels own the border. They're running the border. And what people don't realize is every single quote human that crosses the border generally is under cartel, on contract with cartel. And these guys are, the cartel, and you see them, you see in the videos and stuff, cartels, passing the crossers over the border. See you later. Have a great day, and go pick up another load. But it is so awful because the last number I think Mark gave me, it's anywhere between $12,000 and $20,000 a head.
Wow.
Which all these, and no one has any dough. So they do an IOU to the cartel, just like the Al Capone days, man.
Sure,
this is mobster stuff. And so they get across the border. And what do they got an IOU to the cartel. The cartels are in every city in the United States.
Sure,
that
they
have
are.
any reasonable population. And then here we go. How does a young gal, how does a 15, 16-year-old gal pay back a $10,000 loan, ladies and gentlemen? So I'll turn it back to you guys, but just grease fire on the border. We have to fix this. We have to fix this. And hopefully starting in November, and I hope November is not too late.
Well, and listen, let me just say this. We're going back and forth, and what you're seeing is, I don't know why there's an active push against securing our border. Now, I know why that the liberals want to do it, because they want to do a paradigm shift. They want to shift everything in America. I'm telling you, this is where, the Obamaites and all of the people that have, let me tell you, Barack Obama has done more to destroy this country than any other president. And Joe Biden's pretty close. Okay. But he really started this nut roll towards socialism and Marxism. And the problem that we're seeing here is now we've got it to where it's like, well, they call it inclusion. They call it, let's just be nice to each other. Let's just have a civil conversation. Well, There is no civil conversation when you talk about taking any of my constitutional rights. There is no civil conversation that we're going to have when you talk about opening a border and allowing rapists, drug thugs, radical Islamic terrorists, pedophiles, and everything else to run butt naked across the border, and expect me to say, "Oh, welcome to my house." No, I'm going to tell everybody this. I've said this every time I've come on this show. Don't pull that shit up here in New Haven, West Virginia. I'm telling you, man, because we're not going to put up with it. We got too many people in these hollows and stuff and all over America. The Japanese figured it out. They said, we can't invade America because there'll be an American with a rifle behind every blade of grass. That's what he said. Now, I don't think we'll have one with a rifle behind every blade of grass now, because there has been a pacification that has occurred. And it's sad that it's happened, but there has been a pacification to where it's like a lot of people have turned in their guns. They don't carry, they don't do that. They don't go out and shoot and hunt and do all those things anymore. But there's enough of us out there now that it might take us, we might not be able to kick your ass in a week. It might take us 2 weeks, but we're still going to kick your ass. And that's what's going to happen.
Captain, take a minute here, okay? And I do want to cover a few things before the end of the episode here.
Yeah.
It looks like Matt might have dropped off, but take a minute here.
Yeah.
Take the mic, take the floor. Talk to me about the Roughneck Regiment. Okay? Well, this
let's
could be
talk about it.
This is the story of 2024. You remember, Val Olson and Greg Meakin, we break big stuff. This is going to be I think, the story of 2024. You go ahead. You got the mic, Captain.
Well, let me tell you. So the term roughneck, actually, it's really associated with gas and oil workers, but it's also associated with anybody that works hard for a living. So you roughneck truck drivers, you roughneck service members out there, you roughneck coal miners, you roughneck hard workers that go out and labor every day. You put on boots, you work, you get up, you earn a living. You are part of that crowd. Roughneck should not be a term that's used derogatory. Roughneck means that we're tough and we're rugged and we are ready to take on any task, and we're not afraid to get our hands dirty. So Matt CODAY and the Oil and Gas Workers Association, we sat down, we had a discussion about this. We actually worked with a fellow veteran, a retired Navy captain who was one rank away from making admiral. Very good friend of mine says, you guys really need to make a roughneck regiment. You really do. And it just stuck. And we just started writing this thing out. The first thing we did is we sat down and we wrote out our oath. And our oath is to the Constitution of the United States of America, to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is the same similar oath that you take when you go into the military. There is no expiration on that oath. And it's an oath that every American should be able to take. The other thing that we looked at is what is going to be our goal. Our goal is going to be advancing messages related to freedom, liberty, independence, working, energy production in America, and making America great again. The twisted left has distorted MAGA and made it sound like it's some kind of a bad thing. Make America great again is not a bad thing to say, and you should openly say that. We were just reached out to. There is a small group in Chicago, and they are the Black Republican Caucus in Chicago, and they just sent me a message and said, "God, please reach out to us, help us." And God knows that they need help in Chicago. So you know what? We're reaching out to our brothers and our sisters all across this country, and we're making those handshaking commitments one to another, and they're going to join the Roughneck Regiment. And we're going to have a Roughneck Regiment that's going to cover from one end of this country to the other. And a regiment is between 3,000 and 5,000 people. And I promise you, by the end of 2024, we will have 10 regiments at least that are going to be active, people that are going to be engaging, going to be door knocking, they're going to be voting, they're going to be educating, but more importantly, they're going to be demonstrating. what a citizen, a law-abiding, God-fearing citizen should be and will be. And that's what the Roughneck Regiment is going to be. So, some people may want to, be scared about it. I can hear it now. Matt Cody was on a radio show in West Virginia this morning, and man, we all know Matt. Matt is 100% All-American, and the first thing that happens, Matt comes out, he drills on the importance of domestic energy production in America, the importance of taking care of workers. The radio host was just absolutely, is a great friend of mine, Tom Roten. Big shout out to Tom Roten. I share Tom Roten's link. He's got a radio show. Folks, I want you to listen. I will share it on my X site. Val, I'll make sure that all of you have it so you can share it with all your people. Listen to Tom Roten, subscribe and like, because the man is a patriot, All-American as well. But as he was talking, Matt went into the whole thing about, yes, we're oil and gas workers. We're an oil and gas workers association, but it's not just about oil and gas. Okay. It's about our U.S. Constitution. It's about our freedoms. And he laid it out. He says, look, when we go to endorse candidates, if you're pro-abortion, you're probably not one of our people. If you are for gun control, you're probably not one of our people. If you think that it's okay to mutilate the body of a child, then you're definitely not one of our people. But if you don't respect the United States Constitution and the rights, the Bill of Rights is our contract, people, with the U.S. government, and they are trying their best to rip that away from you. And we've got to stop allowing that to happen. We don't have to march and burn down stuff or destroy things. We still have an opportunity to vote these clowns out. But we got to vote them out at every level. You got to vote them out of city halls. You got to vote them out of counties. You got to vote them out of states. You got to vote them out of national office. You start doing that and you start sending a message. Stop allowing these people to get in there and to be elected and die in office. If we start getting rid of some of these folks, I'm telling you, you vote them out, you're going to send a message. And we come together as Americans and as patriots, black, white, Latino, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you something. The flag is red, white, and blue, baby. And that United States Constitution guarantees us a voice, and it guarantees us the right to defend ourselves. And there's just a lot of things going on. The Roughneck Regiment is going to be all about the American way and all about the United States Constitution and all about the American people, and in particular, the workers that are out there working your butts off every day to make America great again. God bless you, man.
I have a question for you, Captain.
Mm-hmm.
The Roughneck Regiment, it's obviously a very ground floor rolling out in 2024, organizing, and we'll see exponential growth. There's already tens and tens of thousands of people that are, quote, signed up, enlisted. How's that? Enlisted.
Yeah.
Volunteer.
Yeah.
Very direct question.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I'm sensing, these are generally military vets and the like, or your group of folks, guys and gals.
Yeah.
Will they have an active role or be willing to take an active role in protecting U.S. citizens? You know what people forget so often? People forget that after a legitimate election in 2016, where a president was legitimately elected, Donald Trump, and fair and square, no Russia collusion, people don't realize our cities burned the next day.
Sure.
Protesting a legitimate election. I'm going to just toss it out there. Turn the mic over to you and give me your thoughts.
Well, the Obama Marxists were very mad about that. They wanted to, they wanted a Hillary Clinton presidency, which would have been a disaster. It would have been a disaster. And any time that you get a group of socialists, Marxists, communists, and look, it all leads to communism. Let me just tell you, it starts as socialism. It starts as let's just try to help each other out. And then it just kind of bleeds over into this. They get mad, they destroy, they burn. Okay, you want to see the history of communism? Go look at Red October. Go look and see what they did to the Tsar and his family. Go look and see what they did. You know, you've watched the movie about Anastasia. That was very real. They murdered these people. The Russians were horrible people. They were terrible people to deal with in World War II as well. You know, if you study the history, they were as bad as the Nazis, and in some cases worse than the Nazis. And the problem that we had is that we had our back against the wall, and there was deals that were made. But look at all the Poles that the Russians murdered. Look, you know, look, the war in Ukraine right now, you know, a war of Russian aggression, you know, where they came in, they've invaded. You know, I'm not for giving Ukraine unlimited money and all of this stuff, but I hope Ukraine can push them out. You know, I mean, they're obviously killing a lot of Russians, you know, in the midst of this. But the point that I want to make is that yes, every American should take an active role in defending their nation. As I told you, the Japanese, when they looked at an all-out invasion for America, they said, we better rethink this. You know, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, they said that, you know, we've woke the sleeping dragon, you know, and that's true. They woke up a sleeping dragon. And look what happened. We started, you know, it was a long and brutal war. And at the end of the day, we dropped 2 atomic weapons on Japan that saved lives, but we were willing and committed to do it, to end the war. They had no desire to invade the coastal parts of America because they knew that everywhere that a Japanese soldier popped his head up, some hillbilly like myself or somebody else would be behind a rock or a stone or a tree and would be taken off their head with a rifle, because that's what Americans do. That's what we need to do. And there's no shame in saying you will defend your country. My God, the U.S. Army sent me to war for 26 freaking months. Okay. 26 months. I was decorated, you know, 5 different times under fire, wounded 3 different times under fire. Never did they ever say, oh, you know, take it easy on the enemy. It never was told to me that way. The only place that's told to is here, that somehow, you know, I've got to be okay with somebody burning down my city because they're doing it in the name of Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or some other, you know, or Donald Trump won the election. Oh my God, it's just a disaster. The whole country is going to become fascist and blah, 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 you know, and it didn't happen. And it didn't happen, folks. So what I'm telling you is that we as the American people, we need to wake up, listen, look around, see what's going on around you. Let's not get into a big tribal warfare with people. Look, if I can have a civil conversation, I'd rather have a civil conversation. But right now, the conservative movement, and we're going to get into fake conservatives because that's a big part of this show tonight. The conservative movement is filled with a lot of non-conservatives. The conservative movement is filled with people that say they're Christians, that say that they're going to do the right thing, but in reality, they're fake. All they're out there looking for is, how can I make some money? How can I do something for me? You know what I mean? How can I? They're not advancing the cause of Jesus Christ. They're not advancing the cause of the U.S. Constitution. They're not promoting, you know, pro-life movement. They don't come out and say, you know, life begins at conception, folks. As a matter of fact, the Bible will tell you that God knew you before you were formed. So every time that we allow a child to be ripped out of the womb of a woman, okay, I don't think that that's a very good thing. And I think that there's some so-called Republicans, conservatives out there that turn a blind eye to that stuff. And as a matter of fact, some of them have participated in those things. We've got one that's running for governor right here. His wife is a lobbyist. in the state of West Virginia, and she lobbies for Planned Parenthood. How can you tell me that you're a conservative when your wife is out there working for a lobbying firm that lobbies for Planned Parenthood? And how could, any right to life organization endorse or support somebody like that? They can't unless they're
Question for you,
hypocrites.
James. Question on that subject.
Yeah.
My theory has been I label them Republicans, like
Mhm.
Larry Elder said. They're libertarians,
Mhm.
constitutionalists, but they run under the Republican ticket in order to get elected. They're MAGA people, they're populist people, and then on the other side is the rhinos, and we all know who the rhinos are right now. My theory has been, and I published it, that the wave towards 2024 is kicking out the rhinos and bringing in the great populist. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. We look. It's I don't care if you're a Democrat or a liberal. It doesn't bother me. Okay. What I care about is that you say that you're standing in a foxhole with me and you're watching my back, when really what you're doing is you're you're throwing my ammunition out the back of the other end of the hole or stabbing me in the back, and that's what's happening right now. So we have elected officials in several states that are they're faking it. They're fake. They're phonies. They're not conservatives. They're not Christians. And it's like, well, the people say, James, you shouldn't say that. You don't know whether they're Christians. That's between them and God. You know what? You're right. And maybe I shouldn't say it so harshly. But what I will tell you is that by your fruits you will be known. And so if you're out there, um, let me just say this. I hate fake people. I do, and I'm just fed up with so many of them. And I have them call me, and and they call Matt, and they want the endorsement of this organization or that organization, and it's like I get off the phone with some of these people, and I feel like I've got to go take a shower because I know they're greasy, slimy, lying, and that just because of the fact of how they vote, you know what they have stood for, what they don't stand for, and yeah, it's look, if you're going to be a rhino, a centrist, or whatever you want to call, I don't care what they call themselves, but just admit it, just own it, be a man or a woman about it. You know what I mean? And you know. I'm sick to death of the fake conservatives, man. I really am. But what's worse is the fake Christians, the people that say they're Christians and say, "Oh, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you." And in the same breath, they're out there looking for ways to continue to make money. And I mean, they're just greedy little weasels. That's just all it is. So there you go.
Hey, Val, I had on this issue. You ready? Here we go. Fake conservatives. Val. Val,
It's so
Val, you're ready to
serious.
weigh in?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You weigh in here.
Oh, I'm fired up. I am fired up. I am taking the microphone. But no, in all seriousness, it is a security threat. When you have fakes in a seat of power, they are funded and influenced by an alt agenda. And it's very dangerous. And there is a reason why they can't stand on their extremist ideas and their hate on family and their hate on life and just their death culture overall. There's a reason for that. They know they're unelectable like that. So, of course, they want to integrate and appear like they're part of the community. But you nailed it, James. We have to be better at inspecting the fruit. And as Christians, we have to quit cowering in the corner and, oh, we're scared to say anything. Ask questions. And 2024 is when these greasy slime balls that you feel like you have to have a shower after talking to them, you need to send them on this platform. So, fearless Christians who aren't afraid to have a conversation and tip some tables, if that's what we have to do, will ask the hard questions that are worth asking. because it is infiltration turns into an infestation. And before you know it, you've got a smelly, dirty rat pot. And I've left communism. And I can tell you the biggest threat is when you've got on one side identifying as a conservative, but voting polar opposite. And people just want to be told what they want to hear, and they do not inspect, they do not manage their votes. So we have to be better at managing our votes and holding these people accountable. And don't be afraid to sit in front of them, show up at their events, and ask them questions and put that camera in their face.
Yeah. Well, look, it's Jesus Christ, my Savior, our Savior, Jesus Christ, gave us a very good lesson plan in life, and he taught us in parables, and taught us, how to live and love one another. But he also taught us not to what? Not to fear, not to be afraid, to go forward and to do those things that we have to do, to live, but to also preach the gospel, to every living thing. And right now, the silencing, let me tell you, the silencing of our U.S. Constitution will kill the word of God in America, because people are already afraid to speak out right now. Just listen to it. Well, it's like, when you pray, because I'll have people to ask me to pray. Say, well, when you pray, just say thank you, God, instead of saying in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm like, well, you better get somebody else to pray then, because I'm not going to, not pray in the name of Jesus Christ. I've got friends that are Jewish friends that have absolutely no problem with me praying in the name of Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, they thank me. I've got friends in the IDF, you know what I mean? The Israeli Defense Force right now that are going over there and smacking Hamas across the lips right now. And I pray for them. And I pray for them in the name of Jesus Christ, even though, they have a difference in belief. But you know what? They appreciate that. You want to know why? Because they're civilized people, because they're different. They're decent people. And I think that there is a way for us to be able to have these conversations, but we need to call these fake and phonies out. And these fake and phonies, I want to just say this to all of them that are out there, that are calling themselves Christians, that are saying, well, so you're an elected official. Let me tell you, when you get before God, I don't care if you were the president of the United States, okay? You better have your stuff together, because you're going to face God. You're not going to face God as the president. You're going to face God as who you are, naked as the day it was when you were born. And the only thing you're going to have is what you did and what you failed to do. And you're going to have to answer. That's all going to be tested by fire. So I am 100% believer in Jesus Christ. I believe that is the only way we're going to get our country back in track, is to get good, God-fearing men and women back in office who aren't afraid to pray, who aren't afraid to say no to some of this nonsense. I'm going to just give you a real quick example about something. I've been watching, and I have said this for a long time, and I've known this to be true. When people get elected into office, they have a little bit of a euphoria moment. They get all excited. They go to Washington, D.C., or they go to the State House and they're having a good old time, have a few drinks, and some of them end up, doing things that they shouldn't do. Do you know that so many elected officials go into office, and I think they go into office with good intentions, but then when they get around all of that, and especially men, it just seems to be with men, they have a problem with sex. They get out there, some woman or some young man, whatever their preference may be, they come on to them, they go to a hotel room, and somebody's filming that. Okay, they are set up and blackmailed all the time. There was a whole story, a whole report on that just came out. And here's the thing. if you're close to God and you're living your life right, you don't have to worry about that because you won't be tempted by that. Okay. You won't be tempted by that if you have a good relationship with your spouse. You won't be tempted by that if you're not a foul, evil-minded person. You won't be tempted that because you know what you'll be doing? You'll be going to work. You'll be going to your place where you're staying that night, and you're not going to be out there carrying on like that. And you're not going to be tricked into all of these things. So that's why I say people need to pray. They need to get their minds clear. If you're going to be in political office, you got to straighten yourself out. You really do. And that's for women too. I mean, women are getting caught up in it. We got some here in West Virginia, they get caught up in it. Some young guy, comes on to them and they're working for a lobbyist firm, or there's somebody that's, it's like, well, no, wait a minute. I don't want you to vote that way. Well, I got to vote that way. Well, you better not, because I've got these pictures in this video, and stuff like that happens. And that's a shame, because that's the moral deception that's going on in America right now. And we got to fix that. So,
James,
yeah.
it all started in the 60s campuses. Val, this is such a huge issue James is bringing up, because we're talking about just the destruction of our culture from a morality standpoint and internal constitution standpoint. Val, what are your thoughts from the home front and this, call it authentic Christianity and temptation? Give me your thoughts on the home front from a mom and a wife's perspective.
I love this conversation because it always comes back to the home unit. And I think that's exactly where we need to be right now as a starting place, as a phase one of cleanup. Address the stuff that's going on the inside. So as an individual, as a woman, a wife, a mom, I'm going to look at what I know is not right, what isn't working, and I'm going to address that, and I'm going to ask for help from God. And when you call on him, he answers and he meets you right where you're at. And that is what is happening across America. Is there is a focus. It's like the lights are going on in the family home unit. And that is how we prepare to combat this next season. Maybe your marriage isn't in the best place right now. Be honest about it. You know, don't just give up. Decide what's important in this life, what you want, and start doing the personal work. And we have to address, what James is saying in politics. It's real. There needs to be a focus on these handlers. That's one thing that I find we are not talking about enough. It's time to start naming names. It's time to start outing tactics. It's time to start preparing, the Christians that are going to be going into office, really better preparing them. And again, as an educated voter, be aware and, be on mission, be in prayer. And we have to start, talking about this stuff in our churches. I'm so sick and tired of churches that give themselves an out. Well, we aren't political here. Well, give your head a shake. What are you afraid to pray about? You shouldn't be afraid to pray about anything. If somebody comes to you, it's to be like a hospital, and they should be able to address what's going on and go after getting results. I believe in miracles today, and I believe in healing, and I believe marriages can be saved and families can be saved. And, the Bible says, without a vision, my people perish. And that's what I watched happen in Canada. I watched all of these leaders with no vision. They had no vision for a future. Well, we need a vision for America. So we really need to be united in that vision, make America great again, and we need to be walking in that.
Hey,
And
Val,
that's,
do you
yeah.
think we're going to come back? You think we're going to come back as a country of culture, as Christians, hopefully starting at the November election? Not to be a rhetorical question, but do you feel good? Do you think that the wave's going to come back?
We have that constitution. like James says, that is our contract. Our contract remains alive, secure today. And we have to hold on to that. You do not hand that over. And the enemy is close. The front door is wide open. They've kicked the front door down. And now we have to respond. And we still have the ability to respond. And enemies of America, foreign and domestic, would love you to think that you don't have what it takes. They're going to fill your mind with all kinds of disinformation, misinformation, and confuse you, but you have to you have to dig deep. And that's why you have to get in a right place. And it starts with the moral condition. And I probably sound like a broken record, but if you really want to know the true strength of a nation, you look inside the family home. Why do you think all these foreign governments are spying on Americans and launching their little balloons and whatever they can to look in our windows like big perverts? Because that is how they're monitoring the condition of our marriages. So if you really want to fight back and you really love America, look what it's built on and look what we have intact today. So I just hold on to that Constitution with both hands, and we will get through this. And there is an awakening happening in the home zone, and we're going to see more of that. It's not over,
Val,
baby.
you're not a broken record. If God, family, and freedom is the message, a broken record, then I'll listen to that all day long because that's your message always. Captain, your thoughts here. Do you think we're going to make a comeback? Do you think Donald J. Trump will make a difference? Talk to me here.
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I think that the writing's on the wall, and you see, just understand this, that if God be with us, no one can be against us. Now, the more that the wicked ones fight against it, the more that they push back. I want you to notice that you see a massive, there's more and more Americans. There's Americans that I knew, that were like, well, I don't think I like Donald Trump, 3 or 4 years ago. I don't think I like him, whatever. Well, they've changed their tune. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we kind of love the guy, because what we've got now is a train wreck and a grease fire, a train wreck, and a dumpster fire, and all together. So what you see is you see, as Val saying, an awakening. The systematic destruction of the American family has always been a goal of communism, Marxism. Okay, let's go back to Nazism, which is a form of socialism. The National Socialist Party was a socialist party. Okay, the Nazis were. What did they do? They got the kids to tell on their parents, right? They destroyed families. They got families to turn on each other, to fight against each other. And that's the way of the fascists. That's the way of the communists, but that's primarily the way of the Marxists. No one done it better. No one done it better than Joseph Stalin and his people. He absolutely masterminded the ability to destroy the family unit in Russia, and to where the family unit was really, you had a man and a woman, they had babies. They had babies to what? To serve as soldiers in the Russian army, or the Soviet army at the time, and to do the bidding of the Soviet government. Here's your great big apartment building. You're on the 50th floor, third door on the right. And that's where you live forever. And that's all you're going to get. Okay. And the people got used to getting that. So the love and the compassion, the things that really make families, they don't exist in a Marxist, socialist, communist society. They don't. And some people may argue with me about that. I know some friends that escaped the Soviet Union, and they love each other, and they had great families, after they came to America. But they would tell you the same thing. It was like, the display of affection and things like that, the holding of the hands, the kissing out in public, the things that I remember seeing, that, my parents did, and in particular, my grandparents did. That wasn't so common. So can it come back in America? Yes. What are they destroying it with here in America? They're destroying it with, a radical LGBTQ agenda. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I don't hate people because they're gay or who they love or whatever you want to say. But the fact remains is that it is a sinful thing. It is a sinful thing. You cannot produce children with these kind of relationships. It is not the normal family unit. I'm sorry, but no matter what you say and what you do, you're never going to convince me that it's okay for someone to just all of a sudden decide I'm going to change my sex, or I'm going to do this. And we've normalized that in society to where it's like now we don't normalize healthy marriages. Like Val, like you were saying, Val, there's watch every television show now. I've never seen shows on American channels like I see now. There's always got to be somebody that is a homosexual. There's always got to be somebody, that is a lesbian. There's always got to be somebody that is against marriage, against kids, and is the most destructive thing for the family units, because people are watching this, and the media continues to blast it and post it out. And they'll say, oh, did you hear what James McCormick said on that Continue Mission radio show about the gay people? He's a hater. He's this. I'm not a hater. I'm just being very real here. It's like, I'm not trying to destroy your beliefs, but you're sure working real hard to destroy mine, or to try to keep me or my family from normalizing what we know to be normal. And that is a relationship, a marriage is between one man and one woman. Okay. That's it. Marriages are meant to be that way. You're meant to be monogamous. You're meant to have children, and you're meant to raise your family, in the fear and the love of the Lord. That's how American families best have strived and survived over the years. So yes, there's where I am, Greg. I didn't mean to give you a dissertation. But
No. They're not dissertations. This is life lessons here, and constitutional lessons that everybody needs to hear, James. All age groups, but especially youngsters. You never speak a word that's not of value, Captain McCormick. That's why you're part of, guess what? We got the trifecta of freedom here tonight again. Val Olson, Greg Meakin, and James McCormick.
Yeah.
I love it. Feels like the old days here. Let me do quick announcements before I forget.
Sure.
And I want to get them on a clip here too as well. There's so much incredible stuff going. You know that on your end, James. I just can't believe what's happening in your world right now. I'll leave it at that. But there's big stuff. You're going to be touching hundreds of thousands of guys here, Cap McCormick. Anyhow, there's a teaser for 2024. How fun on New Year's Eve, which is Sunday, the 31st. Goodness, where has the year gone? I know it's a cliche, but where'd the time go? The days are long and the years are short when you get older. But this Sunday, we have it at 9 a.m. Pacific hard start, noon Eastern, 4 Secrets from the Inside. It's going to be episode 0011, ladies and gentlemen. And kind of this little deferred episode because of internal sickness in the locker room. Everybody was sick that day, James. We had Gordy, I'll tell you, anyhow. So we'll do a year in review show on Sunday, and also projection for 2024, but big fun stuff we'll talk about Sunday. And James, get this, the following Wednesday, on our normal Wednesdays, 9 a.m. hard start, Secrets from the Inside, it'll be episode 12. And guess what, James? It's Greg Meakin's 65th birthday.
Oh man, I got to get on there and sing you happy birthday.
And I'm going to make a scene. I told Val this the other night, and it's true. And I don't know, there was one year where, you're kind of a young business workaholic guy. My family was all out of state and stuff. And there was one birthday. I didn't realize till 5:30 in the afternoon, James, that it was my birthday. I think my mom called me from Montreal and said, oh, that's right. So gone are those quiet days. As every year that I get, shall we say, older, I'm going to make a scene, and I'm going to celebrate me.
Mhm.
I'm going to celebrate me for a day. You'll laugh at this, James, as we're going to kind of sign off here. By the way, after Wednesday's show, the other announcement I have is, again, write it down, James, January 22nd.
Yeah,
We're
that's
going to
like
do,
4 days.
gonna
4
do a
days
lot.
before my birthday, buddy. I got a birthday in January
I know,
too.
January 26th.
That's right.
26, man. So we'll make a scene on that. But remember, the 22nd of January, we're going to be doing a live stream show hosted out of Calgary. It'll involve Edmonton. It'll involve the Phoenix market.
All right.
Hopefully, we'll have a West Virginia presence. We might be talking Montreal, Toronto, Hamilton, Ontario. You never know. You never know. Maybe bring in a Mississippi party or something. It should be fun. Either way, January 22nd, and just a day to celebrate freedom, James. Once again, rolling in 2024. And those folks up in Alberta, again, this Calgary thing, Tucker Carlson, coincidentally, is going to be up there on the 24th, coincidentally. And but there's a wave of freedom. There's a way that people are sick of it, James. They're sick of it. The folks up in Alberta, I hear from them all the time. They're sick of
Oh
it.
yeah.
So that said, here we go. Be there, be square. I do want to say, before I kind of sign off, I do want to have Val do take a minute and do kind of a summary here a little bit, that this indeed was a wonderful Continue Mission broadcast. And definitely, James, let us know, because next Friday, this same bat time, same back, assuming you're not hacked again.
Gosh, what a
You got
shame, man. Yeah.
let everybody know. But anyhow, Val, do a quick little summary here and wrap up of what this show was and stuff, and take your time. You can coo over me and James at the same time, whatever. Let's just relax. It's way past my bedtime anyways, man. So I'll just make it an evening here, okay? I'll sit back and listen to you.
Well, tonight was an amazing episode of Continue Mission. Thrilled that we could just jump on here tonight and have Matt CODAY join us and talk about border security or lack thereof. We didn't really get too much into oil insecurity here in the US, but I know Matt CODAY talks about that a lot. And there's a show link James mentioned tonight that we want to get our hands on, a radio show that Matt was on earlier today. What was his name again, James? Who interviewed
It's
Matt?
Tom Roten, and I'll send that link over. As a matter of fact, I'll grab it and I'll put it in the base of this show as well, so you get it.
Okay. Sounded like a great show today, so you can go back and listen on replay to that. We touched on those dirty rotters, those fake conservatives that infiltrate and infest, and what a problem that is. And I'm telling you, it just breeds freedom sucking policies on you when that happens. So we touched on managing your vote. We talked about cleaning it up in the home zone, getting right with your relationship with God, freedom, family. And we talked about some security issues too tonight. We also talked about one of my favorite topics right now, the Roughneck Regiment. I love learning about this movement, and I love, just what it means for America, what it means for family, what it means for hope. And, mark it down. 24 is going to be the year of the family in America. So that is the summary. It's Continue Mission, and over to you, James.
Okay. Well, doing a big shout out, obviously, to my good friend Tom Roten. He gave us a thumbs up. And then sent the Spotify episode from today. It was really good. Now, he did one on fake Christians about 2 days before that. That is a beautiful show. So go look up Tom Roten, and it's just on X at Tom Roten. That's TOMROTEN. I put it down in the link with this show here. So if you're watching the show, look down there. We had a lot of people. We had a lot of people. So far I'm seeing, more and more views come in, Val. I think we're doing pretty good tonight for shooting from the hip. and that's always a good thing. Matt CODAY did an excellent job today, and like I said, he really was able to pull out and I just don't even want to rob you of that show. You just listen to that radio interview and everything that come out. He's on the second half of the show, so you'll hear the first half. There's a gentleman that's talking about, again, the same thing. People are selling us out. Just remember, just because they have an R by their name doesn't always make them the best candidate. Just because they brag and say that they're the only conservative or the best conservative or whatever, most of the time they're hiding something. So you have to really watch these folks. But when Matt comes out and he makes this, as he said, relentlessly attacked by 2 or 3 people, they come out, they're mad. Ultimately, the issue with most of them, it comes down to money. Matt is one of those guys that is not going to pay somebody, for their loyalty, and not going to pay them, or take money or go out and raise money for them to be. Look at all of us, Val, you and Greg and myself. We don't get paid to do this. And when these guys come and ask for money, they've become so used to being those little swamp rats, that it's easy for them to just come out and just say, well, I'll just trash your reputation. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, the whole lack of decency and loyalty. But ultimately, it come down to this. Donald J. Trump, when he saw the endorsements from the Oil and Gas Workers Association, not very many people get a shout out from not only Donald J. Trump, but also Donald Trump Jr. And Matt CODAY has personally been noted and called out and given a great big thank you by him and General Flynn as well. By the way, folks, it's there's a lot of stuff going on here, and when that happens and you get that kind of notoriety, and especially if you're working and you're doing God's work, people are going to persecute you. So don't believe the hype. Don't even listen to it. Just look beyond it. We know that God is real. We know that, look, they crucified Jesus Christ. They'll do worse than that to us. Okay. So, I mean, it's just the way it is.
James, do you foresee a Trump general ticket? You mentioned it earlier. Do you think is that a kind of inside scoop trend, or is that just your hope? Because I have a couple of ideas there, but what are you thinking about?
So there have been some polls out there, and I'll tell you that the two that are ranking high to run as his running mate are Kerry Lake and General Flynn, and General Flynn is at 31.5%. I think Kerry Lake was at 31%. And now I think it'll be General Flynn. I do. And I think that because of the condition that our country is in, and especially our military, some of the things that O'Biden has done. Notice how I call him O'Biden.
Talk about triggering the left. General, I love the General Flynn thing, because honestly, especially in this day and age, I wouldn't trust anyone. I would trust General Flynn to have to take over the country if need be from a leadership standpoint if anything happened to the president. Well, I really like that idea, seriously.
Well, and what you see happening with these guys, people want to say that they're criminals and all of these things. They're not criminals. You know what I mean? They're not criminals at all. The problem is that, they are, there's a term for it, they're swatting people all the time. So, now you've got, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Rick Scott and the rest of them, they have people just call the cops, and say, oh, somebody's murdering somebody at Rick Scott's house or at this place. And the cops are having, they have to respond to this nefarious nonsense, this lie. Okay. And they're doing it now with Donald Trump. We'll just sue you Because look, you can't swing a dead cat in Washington, D.C. and not hit an attorney. Okay. They're everywhere. And most of them have become lobbyists. We've got a bunch of them in West Virginia. They're just a bunch of carpetbaggers. They came in here, and I know people hate that term carpetbagger, but it's true. They come in here with the purpose of winning an election and taking over and creating a fiefdom. You get all of this power and you come into a state like West Virginia, and I can become governor, and then I can appoint everybody that I want, to just follow me, and I'll just kind of rule over them like some sort of a rat king, and it's and it's happening. It happens in small towns across America. That's why it's very important that we do elect Donald Trump, and we do, even if General Flynn is not the vice president, he's going to be on that cabinet somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm encouraged to hear this, Captain. Seriously,
Yeah,
we talk about
too.
General Flynn a lot, but I'm liking what I'm hearing there.
Hey, look, the man's an honorable man. He's an honorable man, and I see what's going on, like up in Rhode Island. They appoint, they rightfully they put him on this military honors committee board or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then you've got crybabies up there. It's like, oh, I'm going to quit. I'm going to just quit.
You do that really well, James. You do that really well.
That's what they do. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to quit. It's like, it's just, and you'll look at this other stuff. It's like men be men, women be women. Stop being big titty babies around here, man. I'm just telling you, it's just crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's like they cry over everything. And I got to say this about another one of my friends, J.R. Majewski. J.R. Majewski's running in Ohio. Of course, J.R. was attacked. They said, oh, he lied about his, service record and all this other BS. J.R. Majewski was in the Air Force, and him and I were talking the other day. He says, I never told anybody I was a Rambo. I said I served, and it was during the invasion of Afghanistan. He said, and I loaded planes and unloaded planes, and that's what I did. And he got a what they call a Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. Okay, and he's an honorable man. Well, on X and all of these other social media platforms, this guy, opens up, I don't know, probably started his little Twitter page, maybe yesterday, and puts on there Air Force retiree or something like that. And it's like, no name, no nothing. And then just comes on there and just bashing him, for, oh, well, he lied about his service. He really wasn't in Afghanistan, or he was here, he was there. And that's not what was said. Okay. And in the course of this going back and forth, trying to have a conversation on social media, which, trying to have a conversation with somebody like that's like playing freaking chess with a pigeon. Okay. It just, they'll just strut around, knock the pieces over, crap all over the board. Yeah. Have you ever heard of that? Let me explain it.
Hey, Val, can you tell we have a West Virginia presence on the show again tonight? Chess with a pigeon, dude. Let me write that down.
Well, let me explain what that is. What does the pigeon do? If you try to play chess with a pigeon, all a pigeon will do is strut all over the board, knock the pieces over, crap all over the place, and then fly back to their flock like they won something. And it's like, so, but trying to have a conversation. And then finally I said, look, here's the deal. I said, nobody knows who you are. You probably never even served in the military. You're flying in here on a fake name. There's no picture. There's no nothing. There's no resume. And you're talking about some other guy, you know what I mean, who's got his name plastered all out. I mean, it's like you can see JR's right there. I could probably pick up the phone right now. Well, it's a little late, but I could probably pick up the phone and call J.R. Majewski right now, and he'd answer the phone. But I don't know who that guy is. And that's the problem sometimes with social media, is that you have all of these fake little weasels out there, and they're all leftists.
Everybody's a tough guy behind the keyboard, man. Everybody's a tough guy. It was so
Can I ask? Can I ask a quick military question? I'm working on a file
Uh-huh.
right now when it comes to authenticating
Mhm.
identity. And, it's not keyboard warriors, but, in my line of business, and I'm trying to like track down somebody in the military,
Mhm.
it shouldn't be hard. I'm thinking like when you have, a title,
Mhm.
like say major,
Mhm.
do they take pictures of
Sure.
you there and keep track of you, or is it just a free for
No.
all and you just come in and get a badge and you just go? Like, how does this work? Because I'm seeing a trend happening
Yeah.
in Canada where like, I have called the minister's office. I've called, all kinds of like HQ
Mhm.
looking for a major and an assistant. And so far, James, no record.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, nothing. What is with that?
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
tips?
Well, look, it's so when I went in and I became when I was in the look, I had an ID card that had my picture on it. I had what they called a DA photo in my file, so you could pull up a file on James McCormick, and and look, I can't hide from it, um, and I don't. That's why I don't put out any fake names and stuff, because people are smart. Most people are smart, but this, and I know what person you're talking about. This one guy, on this tampon in the bathroom incident, with the Canadian Armed Forces. He's supposed to be the PR guy, or the public affairs guy that's handling all these questions. Well, I think somebody just threw you out a name, and they made the name up, and I don't think that person really exists. The more I take a look at it, now I got a friend that retired from the Canadian Army, um, and he's a great guy. He's a conservative guy, as well, but um, he don't know him either. So it's like, yeah,
well,
they're
if
fakes.
anything,
There's a lot of
James,
fakes out there.
if anything, this might reach a few people. How can we do? Let's do just it's called a bolo or an APB, right?
Yeah,
Anyone
yeah.
sees this guy? If I going off of memory here, Val, I think because it's becoming a bit of an issue to me. It doesn't. It's not a. This is normally a story, 'cause we did a whole
Mhm.
episode on the tampons, the tampon in biological male restrooms.
Yeah.
That's not an out of shall we say range story these days. However,
Hmm.
a press release sent out on behalf of the federal government, and the name is Major Sumin, Coomin, I believe, Kim, Kim, if I'm going off of memory. And I'm just saying,
Oh,
hey, I'd like to say hi. And
two men Kim, huh? Well,
can you imagine in the private sector, James, if you
yeah,
use little code names and fake names going out for like multi-million-dollar funding? Can you imagine that? So I'm
well,
just saying,
yeah.
if this was indeed, which I think, I agree with you. I think it's let's call it a pen name like an author, but this is a taxpayer citizen press release here. Come on, man.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's becoming a smidge of an issue. So anyone out there who does happen to hear this show, uh, honestly, would love to talk to him. Or
What is he? Is he a representative of the Chinese People's Army, or what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it.
He is the or he's the spokesperson for the national defense in
Oh,
Canada.
wow.
He represents the Canadian military.
Mm,
He's the spokesperson. That's how he's identified in the story. And it's, when the public has no idea what this guy looks like, what he sounds like, just his statements
mhm,
representing all military. It's confusing for civilians. I know it's confusing for military because I called after hours. I called after hours, and a gentleman who only spoke Chinese answered the telephone, and he would not dispatch accordingly. I've called ministers' offices. Nobody has heard of the guy, knows where to find the guy or his assistant. There's no assistant on record. Nobody is able to find him. So, out of concern, is he okay? How do you do a welfare
Yeah.
check? How do you do like,
Hey,
is that do I just call the non-emergency line
hey,
or
James.
anybody who can
In
help
the
me out?
old days, the
I
good
call.
old days of Baghdad Bob. Remember Baghdad Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no soldiers. There's no American soldiers down at the airport. And reporters are saying, well, we were just down at the airport. There's American soldiers there.
Yeah.
At least Baghdad Bob got in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Wow. He did. Yeah, he did. He got in
So,
front of the camera. Yeah, you're right.
but this kind of, the more I hear about it, Val's kind of, Val's digging, and we're digging into about 3 stories right now, James, that are just, and this is just one of them, just saying, okay, just want an answer here. Like the old, anything over the years that you hear, just fess up, do it up front, say what's going
Yeah.
on. We're all grown ups. Okay. You use a pseudonym to protect his identity, whatever, but own up to it here.
Yeah. Well, they never will. I'm just going to just tell you, they're never going to own anything. It's just going to all be just continuous, nonsense, back and forth, excuse. Here's the famous thing that I hear a lot of politicians say: lie, deny. And that's what they do. And that's a shame because, and especially somebody in the military, because kids look up to us. Okay. And if they know you're a stinking rotten liar and a rat, what does that make the whole, everybody that wears the uniform should be mad, about that thing. It should be. I don't know. I get frustrated over these things.
Before
guys.
I forget to, James, please let folks know, starting next Friday with Continue Mission, please let them know where they can find your show and your work and stuff. Because I know you're just going crazy out there on social media and stuff. So just give a rundown. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. You're the busiest guy I know. You're the busiest guy I know. So, but do give a rundown of you guys and where we can find you.
Yeah. Well, you can find, so if number one, if you want to find out what's going on with Matt, Cody, and us at the Oil and Gas Workers Association, it's OGWAUSA.com. So OGWAUSA.com, go in there, give us a like, follow us, hey, donate a few bucks too, because we're trying to get actual Americans elected. And I know that's a novel concept right now. It's just, but we think that it's important to have people in office that are going to represent we the people a whole lot better than what's happening. That's another place. The other thing is we're usually every Friday night from 10 to midnight on Continue Mission, which is on Blog Talk Radio. But the last 3 weeks, we've been going back and forth with these, with this hacking. And this Friday, they really got us, man. They hacked us pretty good, but we're not the only ones. So we're not being singled out. The other thing is that you can go to social media. You can look at Oil and Gas Workers Association. You can look for VETS, VETS, the number 4, coal, COAL. That's vets4coal.com. Okay, there is a veterans coal miners movement that's out there, massive movement. You can also go check out VETS, VETS, the number 4, Vet Leadership, and that's on Facebook. 67,000 followers, folks. 67,000 followers on social media. So while all these people are running their mouth, and doing all this silly stuff, we're out recruiting. We've been silently and loudly recruiting. And we've been doing pretty good at it. I think it's important for us to figure out a way to, to pull our voices together, elevate our voices, and to do the right thing. And then just look, as you say, Greg, I am busy. I'm very busy. We're all busy. But I feel like I'm in the middle of a firefight right now. I feel like if I come down off of this wall for one day I'm going to get overrun. We're really have got our backs against the wall, America. We really have our backs against the wall. And it's time for every patriot that truly loves America, that truly respects God and liberty and truth. You're going to have to stand up. There's no more sitting down. Sitting down and shutting up is not an option. You got to stand up. You got to vote, go out and vote, exercise your right. But more importantly, support those candidates and go knock on some doors, make some phone calls, talk to your family and friends, go to the OGWA website, toss them $5 a month. You will never miss $5 a month. Okay. But you could do so much if 5,000 or 10,000 of you decide to step up and say, hey, I really want to do something for America. I'm going to save, what is that? What is $5 a month? How much is that a day? It's pennies. It's pennies on the day. Okay. And if anybody can't toss a few pennies a day in a jar to pay $5 a month to help save America, then I don't think I can do anything for you, and I think it's important for us to financially support those things. The other thing is like Val said, get in front of these people and ask the questions. You don't have to be rude. You be very nice about it, but ask the question. Say, what's your stance on this? And God bless America, man. Pray for America. Please pray for America. We need that worse than anything.
Well, Captain, please salutes to all the gentlemen. I wish I'd had Father Mike. Wish I had Rich Kilblane. But I have a funny feeling you guys are going to be back in the big old saddle next Friday. I really, really look everybody, like James saying, follow, continue mission, support the cause, get out there, lift a finger. One thing for sure, I feel this in my heart. And James, you're not alone here. This is a quickening. This is a fork in the road. This is all eyes in my mind are on November 8th. But now is the time, very much like the culture of World War II, or when a tragedy goes on, maybe post 9/11, the whole country rallies together. It's like a bad snowstorm. You all rally together. You all work on the same team, and I sense that there's I keep saying a wave of 1950s handshake world of practical constitutionalist leaders like you, like me, like Sheriff Lamb, like Val Olson, like Matt Cody. There's a bunch of really good leaders out there, but I look to the 80%, the support, the comfort ponies, the Rosie the Riveters, James. The Rosie the Riveters. Everybody can kick in some way, and if never after 2024, that's fine. But we need you this year, this election. And I need you. I'm an American citizen. I cast a vote. So if there's one illegal or harvested vote, it nullifies mine. Okay. So I'm relying on everyone out there. I tip my hat and I salute you guys forever. James, you know that. Definitely hope to maybe pop on your show again some Friday when things aren't crazy after the holidays and you get your IT folks finding out what's going on. But I'll turn it back. Thank you again, Captain. I'll turn it back to Val. Take your nice time here. This was a really amazing broadcast in that it not only was ad hoc, it was emergency. And you launched the platform and you did it just like an outpost, a good little frontal assault action going there. You did a great job. You platformed this quickly, and we turned it into a show and more than what we would have thought time-wise. So this was Continue Mission Radio, platformed on Val Olson Radio on X. So there you go. Another notch in your gun there, Miss Val. Miss Val, our military radio gal. Right. Turn it over to you. Take as long as you want to wrap. You've been listening so patiently to a lot of really great stuff and great guys out here, Val. Take as long as you want. Nice summary, nice wrap, where we can find your work, all that stuff, and shows coming up. So it is all yours, and just close her out right there. Salutes to you, Captain. Love you guys out there as far as the audience. You're what it's all about. And we hear from you. We hear from you every day. Many countries, many cities and stuff. So Val Olson, you wrap it up here. Okay. Thanks. God bless you guys.
God bless you.
What a great episode of Continue Mission Radio, and thrilled that we could platform it here on X. And I love that Father Michael closes us out in prayer. So I'm going to do that as we close out. But just prior to closing off and signing off for the evening, I want to remind you a special broadcast is coming your way on Sunday. It's going to be a year in review, a year end wrap of Secrets from the Inside. Sunday morning episode 0011. And I loved what James shared. I had this vision as he was speaking, and he was talking about, climbing that wall. And I really believe that's what we have to do. And we have to come back to that here in America, climb that wall and make it a prayer wall. So we need to have a patriotic prayer wall. So if you're listening to this broadcast on replay, I'm going to close out with a scripture, Philippians 4, verse 6 through 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So I just pray, Father God, that you would just bless everyone listening, encourage them, strengthen them. And for those that just need peace in a time of just complete chaos and confusion, I just pray that you make their path straight. And I pray for the children of this country, Lord, that you just protect them and protect the families. And God bless this nation. We are one nation under God. And I pray in the name of Jesus. This is Continue Mission. And to all of you, God bless you and God bless America. Good night.